While the gaming industry is both diverse and complex, there are a few reasons why simple, low-budget indie games can often capture significant value and engagement compared to some AAA titles that heavily invest in graphics, writing, and cinematics. While I've thoroughly enjoyed playing Final Fantasy XVI, Tears of the Kingdom, and Diablo IV, I've also found a lot of these games, a lot of these AAA titles, pack a bunch of unnecessary content and gameplay loops just to fill out the experience purely to have players meet a certain number of hours played. Players, on the other hand, often weigh out hours played as a value for a game rather than the quality of those hours that were spent. Are you engaged? Was the time that you spent in the game memorable? Did you actually enjoy it? As we've learned from the FTC case with Xbox's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Sony spent over $200 million for The Last of Us Part 2, as well as Horizon Forbidden West, giving us a sneak peek into the cost of AAA titles. Indie games like Vampire Survivors and, by extension, Halls of Torment aren't bound to these heavy budgets and AAA expectations, where AAA gaming has been reduced to this formulaic loops and box checking. Indie games have always thrived by taking chances and delivering more dollar per value in both terms of engagement and in hours played. Halls of Torment just happened to be the game that I needed exactly when I needed it. I've been having an absolute blast with the game. I've unlocked, I'm pretty sure, all of the classes, most of the spells, and now I'm on the hunt for all kinds of different pieces of equipment from each stage in the game. It's insane how a $4 game can somehow feel more valuable of an experience in comparison to some $60 and now, sadly enough, $70 titles that are out there. And that's not saying that some of these $70 titles aren't fantastic in their own right. It's just insane how much value we can get for so little of money. Halls of Torment is exactly what it looks like, an old-school Diablo spin on Vampire Survivors executed almost flawlessly. You have the normal spell and ability pickups, different classes and characters, you level up your passives and abilities, spend gold for permanent passives to increase, kill hordes of monsters, in simple yet addicting gameplay. However, that's where the similarities end. Halls of Torment utilizes simple puzzles to solve, like the ritual on the first level, NPCs to unlock through discovery, where they actually become vendors that stay at your base. And similar to Diablo, you can find loot off of elite enemies that give you passive increases and sometimes massive bonuses in the way of unique enchants. Oh, and by the way, you actually get to keep that gear by extracting it through a well that's placed on every single map, so you have permanent access to loadouts for every character from then on. Now with that said, I really want to talk about the things that make Halls of Torment stand out in comparison to some of its contemporaries, which by now there are quite a few different Survivor games. And one of the things that I noticed right off the bat was the fact that the game gives you full control of your character. That includes auto-aim being able to be turned off, as well as your attack being able to be turned off. You actually have full control of your character, where your character attacks and where your character goes. And while Vampire Survivors was a really addictive game at first, after a while it just becomes more of a race for you to be able to stand still eventually and just wait for the level to end. Now mind you, I remember that some levels actually have puzzles and things like that to solve, secret areas to find. However, for the most part, once you've got your build set and ready, you could probably sit there for a good 10 minutes not doing anything. Where in Halls of Torment, that's not the way that you would ever play the game because, well, the gameplay is far more engaging by giving you that full control. Now, you actually take direction and go in certain areas specifically because you're trying to dodge a lot of the mechanics that the game has to offer. Halls of Torment diverges from other Survivor-style games in two very specific ways. The first is allowing the player to have more control over the attacks and their direction. By giving the player more control, you've exponentially increased the amount of engagement from the player. We start to learn the attack patterns for every single character. We actively make decisions on the directions we go in based on the monsters in that direction. And the range and the frequency and the type of attack with each character, we're also making active decisions on what direction and what monsters we're fighting because of that. Secondly, the elites, bosses, and even sometimes smaller creatures have unique mechanics that we have to dodge, whether it's projectiles, watching for area of effect damage, rushing, dodge area hazards, or watch the movement patterns of different enemies like slimes and dogs. The player is constantly engaged and actively playing rather than passively playing that we're used to with most Survivor games. You'll often find yourself picking abilities and leveling up based on the next elite that you're going to be fighting or the next phase of monsters you're going to be shifting into. Maybe you want to focus on single target damage because you know the next elite's going to be really high health, or maybe the dog phase is coming up next, so you want to make sure you have really strong AoE. Or maybe you want to take faster attack speed so that way you can take down shielded skeletons. Now, I don't want to spoil everything because I'm hoping that the people that watch this video that may not have played the game yet get to go and play it and enjoy it, and also get to be surprised by a lot of the monsters that were in it. When I first started playing the game, I played it with very little context. I watched it on this like really small time streamer, Zach Rar. Kind of reminds me of Asmongold a little bit. Really cool streamer, by the way. But I watched it on his stream, and I just immediately went and just purchased the game because I saw it was only $4 and was immediately surprised. The first time I saw my first elite, I was like, holy crap, what is this game? And then after that, when I actually got to the first boss, the very end boss at the end of the stage, I was blown away. I was on the edge of my seat, and depending on the abilities that you picked really depends on how easy those fights are going to be or how difficult they're going to be. And to be honest with you, not all abilities will work well against all bosses in the game. Customization is another key to why Halls of Torment is so damn good. Well, yeah, you can pick abilities based on RNG just like the rest of the games. The ability to find equipment and then extract that equipment adds a completely different dimension to the gameplay. No longer do you just find what secrets a level holds and then just move on. You continue to farm that level looking for specific pieces of gear that you want to be able to extract and use for other classes in the game. Maybe you want to be able to find Flamewalker boots and the item that changes basic attacks to fire damage for a full flame build. Maybe you want to find the melee accessories or the unique one that does more damage the more you don't use your main attack. There are tons of combinations for truly unique playstyles, and seeing as this is just the beginning for Halls of Torment, it's likely we're going to see more and more added over time as the game grows in popularity. I really want to see them lean harder into the gearing in this game because I think it's something that really sets it apart from a lot of other games of its ilk. And giving us more build diversity, that is probably going to be the best way to keep this game engaging and also keep players hooked to the game as well. See, if they started making it where gear drop from regular enemies sparingly, or maybe make some chests hidden in the level, or maybe even make it where we can pick up weapons that would change the way our primary attack functions, things like that would just add so much more depth to the game and make it just that much more fun. Finally, I really want to close this out with the reason why we all love games like this and why they stand out so much, and it's mostly because they subvert our expectations. Indie games are typically lower priced, much more lower priced than a standard AAA title, which can lead to much more forgiving player expectations. Players may be willing to overlook graphic shortcomings or lack of music or lack of high-budget cinematics or common mechanics missing from the game just because they're compelled by the experience of playing the game and how enjoyable it is. You pay $4 for a game and you're really shocked to see a boss have any mechanics. You're shocked to see loot drop in the game. You're shocked to even find quests on the map with voiced NPCs. I absolutely love finding and playing gems like Halls of Torment, Vampire Survivors, and etc. I really hope this game blows up. I hope more and more people get excited about it and keep playing it, because then that means more content for the game in the future. Guys, the game's $4 on Steam. Just go buy it. If you don't like it for some odd reason, you can come back here, you can drop a comment about how much you don't like the game and how stupid it is and how stupid this video was, and you hate me, and that's fine, and I don't care. Whatever, I'm still gonna like it, I'm still gonna play it, and I think other people are gonna think it's cool too, so shove it. Anyway, that's all I got. That's all I want to talk about. Game's super cool. I'm having a lot of fun with it. There's a lot of really cool games to play right now. This year's been like a banger year for games. What is going on? Baldur's Gate 3 is only in like, what, a month from now? Actually, less than that, since they pushed the date up, which is freaking incredible. Still got Starfield at the end of the year. Armored Core 6. I'm probably thinking of forgetting a couple other games too. Like, what is going on with this year? I have too much to play. My wallet is being drained. I'm gonna have to pick up more hours at work or something like that. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, subscribe to the channel. If not, well, see you later. But anyway, thank you for watching. See you guys next time. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Peace.